Okay, let's look a little more into the publishing sector in China. And to do that, we're joined by Lindsey Carnett. She's the CEO of Marketing Maven. Lindsey, we heard some fairly damning things about publishing in that report. Magazines are too heavy and they pile up at home. They're finished, aren't they, if anybody with access to a social media account and a smartphone can weigh in?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And what do you see any kind of future for print magazines in their traditional format if you've got millions of young people in a country like China who can start blogging immediately and drive a potential mass audience?
Well, bloggers are queens now, and so are the influencers, and they are so influential with the public that they have to learn how to monetize what they are doing. And I think a really great way for a lot of the print publications to stay in business is to continue to have a loyal readership, but also to be able to expand on the digital front and actually include some of these big influencers in the print content.
I don't know a whole lot about fashion, Lindsey, but I can imagine that a lot of the time it's about recommendations. And I can see a market here for young people who are blogging if they feel on the same level as their peers and they're recommending clothes and that kind of thing. That might have more influence than, say, potentially lofty magazines with clothes that you might never be able to buy.
Absolutely. It's more tangible, and I mean, you can attain that type of clothing and you can get access to those people so quickly, it's almost instant. So, I mean, if you even look at Instagram or a WeChat, I mean, those sort of platforms are huge for fashion bloggers and for influencers.
It would seem to follow, Lindsey, that in a country like China, where you've got millions of young people with access to the internet and smartphones, this kind of trend emerging with fashion. Do you see a similar kind of thing in other emerging economies, or are there any key differences?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a global phenomenon that's happening here because the consumer behavior is transitioning from traditional print media into digital media. The way we consume media is different. Even watching TV, you're watching with a tablet or with your smartphone. So this phenomenon is happening also in South America too. A lot of the traditional media that used to have very specific beats, because there were so many beats that these media were covering, now have to cover something more general. So it makes it a little bit more difficult when you're working with a media contact from a large publication, and the online media are really the place where you want to go for bloggers and for influencers, and they are treated just like traditional media contacts in terms of invites to A-list sorts of events, like a New York Fashion Week, for example.
Some of the data I really enjoyed looking at was how some of these tech-savvy teenagers are the ones influencing their parents. Is that something that you see just in countries like China, or is it going to be the case across the world that kids, once they get hold of fashion trends on their phones, are going to start dictating the pace to the oldies?
Well, I think kids have always dictated what the parents wind up buying. I mean, think about a traditional television commercial and they say, "Mom, I want that." And what does the mom go get at the store? The thing that the child asked for. But now it's just happening digitally, and it's happening at different age groups too, because, I mean, if you look at the number of 20-something-year-olds now that are continuing to live at home due to high home prices, it's just happening later in their lives, and it's happening digitally.